Welcome to Women Kicking Glass, the only radio show on OC Talk Radio dedicated to empowering women to be the best leaders they can be in any endeavor they choose. Patty Grimm is our host and interviews top women in a variety of fields to help women grow, learn, and lean in together. Patty has over 25 years of experience in primarily male-dominated fields with senior-level management positions. Patty is the owner of Advantage Training Limited, an organizational leadership team training company. She recently released her new book for women called Quiet Women Never Changed History. Be strong, stand out, and stand up. With the subtitle, Let's Go Kick Some Glass.
And that's exactly what we're going to do this morning. We got some real glass kickers this morning here. I had to be careful I said that. Some glass kicking this morning here.
I always have to say you have to make sure you say that really carefully, especially if you're networking and you might have a glass of wine in your hand. You have to be careful how you say it.
Exactly.
So this is Patty Grimm, and I have an absolutely amazing woman leader with me today. Her name is Scharrell Jackson. I'm going to read a couple of highlights out of her amazing biography, which is 3 pages long, and there's a whole list of speaking engagements and things this remarkable woman has done. So Scharrell has served as executives in the field of finance, accounting operations for over 25 years, working in professional services, real estate, construction, and manufacturing. She's known for her remarkable business acumen and her commitment to leadership, developing others, and making sure that operations run smoothly. She's a real efficiency expert. She works for one of the largest accounting firms in the nation, Squar Milner.
Squar
Milner. I knew I was going to get that wrong. And she's actually got an amazing background in a number of areas. She's actively involved in some amazing nonprofit organizations. She serves on the board of directors and executive committee for Human Option, an organization committed to restoring hope and rebuilding the lives of battered women and their children. And she's on the board of directors of the Boys and Girls Club, or Big Sisters of Orange County. She's involved in several groups I'm involved in, like Girls Inc., Working Wardrobe, and so many other organizations. She's part of the March of Dimes. She's a highly sought-after speaker. She's inspirational. We've been on a couple of programs together, and we're going to be facilitating a women's conference in a couple of weeks that we'll tell you about at the end. She has this wonderful group she's formed called Leadership in Heels, and we're going to talk about that today, as well as her overall experience and how she's kicked some glass in the past and still kicking glass.
Still kicking glass.
So tell the audience a little bit about you, your background, how you got to where you are. You're a senior vice president, chief operating officer
over at Squar Milner. Well, it's an interesting journey. It's been absolutely fabulous. And first, I just want to tell you thank you so much, Patty, for having me on your radio show. I truly appreciate it. So let's see, as you shared, what do I do? Well, I am the partner and finance and operating officer of Squar Milner. We are an outstanding CPA firm headquartered in Newport Beach. We serve a number of industries such as the financial service institution, real estate, technology, entertainment, sports, manufacturing, distribution, consumer products, not-for-profit, to name just a few, restaurants and food services. It is an outstanding organization. We give you a boutique experience with expert talent, and we are able to service any industry across the world. And so I've been with Squar Milner for 17 years. I've had the pleasure of serving under Steve Milner, our managing partner of the firm, and working with him and the executive committee as well as the partners in the firm at growing an outstanding organization. So they keep me busy, and that is how I feed my family. I am a mother of 3 outstanding sons that I love and adore and really live my life for. I love serving in the community, and as you mentioned, I am currently on the board of Human Options and Big Brothers, Big Sisters of Orange County, and recently launched Leadership in Heels, which is for women by women for the sole purpose of making a difference in a woman's life.
That's incredible, because I say my show is the only show in Orange County, maybe Southern California, that is dedicated, and it's by women, for women, and about issues they care about. And so each week we talk about a variety of things, including from a business perspective, what women have learned so they can pass tips on, but also a lot about nonprofits and issues we face. We've talked about women in alcoholism. We're going to talk about, in a couple of weeks, we're going to talk about women in heart disease and all those kinds of things. So I think there's a real synergy here between the two of us, and we're good buds. So that's an important part of it. So kind of in your career, you've had an amazing career. What are some of the challenges you face, and how did you overcome them?
You know, it's interesting you asked me that. I was sharing with someone this morning in a meeting how, as a leader, you continue to blossom and grow. It really doesn't matter what your job title is. It's ever changing if you are open to growing and becoming more effective. And, you know, a lot of the challenges that I have faced have, in some instances, had to do with who I was, with not being comfortable and confident in what I was bringing to the table as a woman working in a male-dominated environment. And then also, you know, quite frankly, as a minority living in South Orange County, there are some innate fears that come with that. And then there's some imposed fears. And so I think one of the challenges that I faced was insecurity and not always being comfortable being myself. You know, now I'm very comfortable being authentic and effectively communicating who I am and what I offer. But that was challenging early in my career. It's also been challenging because I've been a single mom for over 14 years. I have 3 sons, as I mentioned, and trying to balance raising my children and enjoying the relationship with my children, as well as serving the organization in which I am employed and serving the community can be difficult, right? Trying to balance everything. Yeah. So that too has been challenging, and really just trying to navigate through and make sure that I stay true to who I am, as well as live my life to make a difference in the lives of others. Sometimes can make you comfortably uncomfortable, as I call it.
And that's okay. And that's okay. So how do you, one of the things, there was a book a number of years ago called The Cinderella Syndrome, which was all about women trying to do it all, trying to be the perfect mom, the perfect manager, the perfect coworker, the perfect volunteer. And it was sort of like, it was a whole myth about the fact that Cinderella is actually a cartoon character created by Walt Disney. Right. You know, Superwoman was a comic book, and all these images we had. And I felt that myself a lot of times, too. I felt like I always had to be the perfect everything, until I woke up one day and realized I really don't have to be the perfect housekeeper, and I don't care to get any better at it. So I just do what I need to do and hire a housekeeper once in a while to come in and clean the house.
I'm with you, Patty. You know, it's interesting because I would never consider my life the Cinderella story, but I do understand how I'm wired. You know, I'm currently writing a book, and it's not yet titled, but I'm leaning toward a title. And one of the things that's unfolding is why I am wired to do the things that I do. And one of those things is to please and to serve others, which means you put a lot of pressure on yourself. You overperform. You are constantly striving to be a little bit better. And so I think that what I've learned about myself is that I am really drawn to that which I don't understand. And when I don't understand something, I work to try and seek understanding. And having a lot of responsibilities, I think, is something that some of us just are, it's an innate thing that we have within us that causes us to want to do a lot. But one of the things that I recognize is that there is no perfect person. There is no balance. It really is about doing the things that you love. And I'm at a point in my life now where I actually do what I love. So even though it may seem like a lot, you know, the volume of what you have on your plate is not really what causes you stress as people, right?
Yeah.
So it's really all good. I'm doing what I'm enjoying and what I love to do.
That is so great. That's so great. And you've got 3 amazing boys that are pretty incredible. So you've done a good job in your work, and you've done a great job of raising 3 very outstanding young men to help move them forward as well. So tell us about your journey to partner. I mean, you said you've been there 17 years.
17
years. Your journey to partner as being a woman and a woman of color had to be challenging. So how was your journey, and how'd you break through?
Well, you know, I guess when you think about breaking the glass ceiling, right? Or women kicking glass, as you call it, which I think is absolutely a fabulous title. But, you know, like I said, I started at Squar 17 years ago, and I always say that my managing partner, my boss, Steve Milner, he tricked me because I had just had my son. I thought I was coming into a job with flexible hours, and a couple of years later, after not taking a day off, I found out that wasn't actually true. But what I found it to be was an opportunity to make a difference. It was a much smaller firm at the time, 5 partners, less than $5 million, and it was under the leadership of a managing partner who was very entrepreneurial and had a vision for the firm.
Yeah.
And I think that when I describe Steve and I think it's like a yin and yang. He's driven in a way to accomplish so many things, and I'm driven as well. And our primary motivation in terms of how we're wired may be different, but I think it's a complement, which I think that oftentimes we look at the differences as an obstacle, but I really think differences can be a complement if you embrace it. And so I had an opportunity to come there and to make a difference, to create infrastructure and efficiencies, and to stay relevant and be innovative. Is it challenging? Absolutely, because I am not in the good old boy club, to keep it honest. And
do you play golf?
No, but neither does Steve, so that's all good. I mean, one of the things about the firm is that I'm different, and so's my boss. And so I think that he kind of seeks out those that are different and gives them an opportunity.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come without a challenge, because it's hard. You know, it's really hard being different. It's hard being accepted. It's hard having a lot of responsibilities and making sure that you deliver as expected.
Right.
And to be a CFO in a CPA firm,
that's incredible.
You're not the smartest person in the room, so you don't present information. You have to prove it. But what has happened is that I think in the journey, I've had to continue to take professional development, invest in myself, trust other people, invest in others. As I mentioned, stay relevant and tell the truth. You know, be authentic and be who it is that you are. And so if I had to say the biggest adversity that I face at the firm is standing up for what I believe to be true, even when nobody else in the room does, and ultimately fighting for what is best for the organization. Yeah. And even though everybody wants that, everybody's not willing to fight. Yeah, and I think that has been what has been the most challenging and yet the most rewarding.
You said so many things in that short comments that you just made that are so important to the listeners. First, you said that there's a difference in style between you and Steve, you and Steve, and that's a compliment. In fact, you are able to balance off each other, and you both play to your strengths. So one of the things that I talk about frequently and that we both talk about is understanding what your strengths are so that you play to your strengths, and you find people who are different from you, and you play to their strengths because you're a better team.
Absolutely.
You also talked about having that, needing to stand up. And something I really talk about a lot, and I've mentioned it a couple of times, is in order to stand up, you need something to stand on. And so I talk about having, as a woman, a personal leadership vision, something in your heart and in your head that you actually write out, and you think about that in a way that says, I make personal, business, life decisions based on my personal vision, and then I stay true to myself and I'm authentic when I live that.
Absolutely. So I think you're so right, Patty.
So critical. So if you haven't done it yet, go grab a notebook someday, go spend a couple of days or spend an hour a day. Imagine you're going to be interviewed by your favorite magazine or on your favorite TV show in 5 years. And imagine what that magazine or TV show would say about you. That's your personal vision. So just start writing out words or sentences that say, I want to be known as this. And then start using that leadership vision to make your career and life decisions. And to stand up, like you said, and fight for the things that you believe are right.
And I think even just to piggyback about what you're saying is to stand up and fight for yourself.
Yes.
Right? I mean, so often as women, we defer who we are to make sure that we're taking care of everyone else. And I will say that was a huge part of my journey and the difficulty of my journey, even at Squar and throughout my life. Whether it was received that way or I delivered it that way or not, everything that I do is what I believe is for the betterment of others. But oftentimes we don't take care of ourselves.
Exactly.
And so I think that as women, not only do we need to stand for what's right, but we need to stand for ourselves so that we can ultimately accomplish all that it is that we want for our life while we're fighting for the lives of others.
Yeah, and I talk about standing out, being valuable, which means having a set of skills that you bring value to the organization or the nonprofit or the group you work with, being visible and being vocal.
Absolutely.
We have to toot our own horn a little bit more.
We do. And we have to invest in ourselves.
Exactly.
I was speaking to someone this morning about the fact that oftentimes we want more, but we're not necessarily prepared. right? And so we have to invest in ourselves, in our own professional development. We have to make sure that who we say we are is how we truly show up, and that there's a match in terms of the inside and the outside, right?
Yeah.
So we got to
exactly.
do those things, like do that professional development and make sure that we are equipped and prepared for the assignment that we're given.
And a lot of those things don't have to cost money. You can go to the library and buy books on leadership, buy books on your skill or your craft you want to become a master at. You can take free webinars. You can attend a number of different networking groups. In fact, I want to transition to something a second, because you founded this amazing organization. There are, when I did a search one time on Google and on Bing about women's networking groups, it came out to 29 million women's networking groups around the world. So there are a lot of them. But you have an incredible women's group called Leadership in Heels. Tell us about how you founded that, what the mission of the organization is, and just tell us about Leadership in Heels, which I love that title.
Thank you. Leadership in Heels is actually the title of the first professional public speaking series that I did many, many, many years ago, talking about what it's like to be a woman leader and really staying true to who you are as a girl. And I founded Leadership in Heels. It's been a year and a half now, really for the sole purpose of making a difference in a woman's life. Mm-hmm. So it's for women, by women, and it is about women. And my experience has been that oftentimes there are speaker series and conferences and seminars that we go to that compartmentalize our life. In other words, there are professional series that we go to, or there are spiritual things that we go to, or things that we go to that they call self-help. And I think that what has happened with so many women is that we show up differently depending on our environment.
Right.
But what Leadership in Heels does is it challenges us to look at our whole self, personally, professionally, and in the community, being authentic and true to who we are. And so at Leadership in Heels, we bring about themes and speakers and panelists that address just that. It stimulates our mind, it penetrates our heart, and then it gives you tangible tools that you can apply to your life immediately.
Yeah.
So it's just been outstanding. We've had some amazing speakers on Leadership in Heels, and at each event, like you, we highlight a woman in business,
right,
and then we donate a portion of the proceeds to a nonprofit. So it's just been really quite a blessing to be able to birth Leadership in Heels.
Yeah. Who would benefit from this program? Is it only professional women?
Absolutely not. Anybody who would consider themselves a girl, a woman, or a lady. And, I would just say this. It is so interesting how we coin a leader based on what our job title is. But what I challenge each woman listening to is, if you have one person in your life, then you have the power of influence.
Right.
And if you have the power of influence, then you are a leader.
Exactly.
So if there's one person in your life, I invite you to come to Leadership in Heels and hone in on your leadership skills. So it's for everybody.
Yeah, I often tell people when I'm doing like a workshop on leadership or something, and I've been doing a lot on women lately, is to think about the person who most influenced them in their life, whether it be their mother, their father, a coach, a teacher, a piano player, whoever it is, a boss. Think about the person that influenced you most in your life. And what did that person do to influence you, and how do they still impact you today? And what's interesting is people get in these very deep discussions, and they remember somebody. I did it recently at a women's group, and the woman said she all of a sudden remembered a professor she had in college that she'd completely forgotten about. And the essence of that is that person was a leader, whether it was your mom, a piano teacher, your dad, a coach, a boss. That person was a leader. Absolutely. Management is a title that somebody's given a positional title. Leadership, as you said, means if you're leading one person, you are a leader. Absolutely. You're leading your children.
Exactly.
Your church group. You're doing the Girl Scout cookie drive right now.
Yeah, everybody's doing the Girl Scout cookie drive. I say those Girl Scout cookies, that's my kryptonite. I have to try to stay away from them this year because, you start with one box, as my girlfriend Spring said, and before you one bite, and before you know, you've eaten a whole box. Like, oh my gosh.
Exactly. So you started writing a book.
I did.
So tell us about that.
A book. So I have a cousin. Her name is Shavonna Gaylor, and she is absolutely fabulous. And she has this writing coach. Her name is Sandy Peckenbaugh, and she introduced me. And I've been talking about writing a book for a number of years, and it has just been an absolutely marvelous, healing, hurtful, difficult journey, because I am peeling back the layers of my life since childhood. And what it really is about is how to birth who it is that you truly are, identifying some of the things that I've gone through my journey of leadership and success, whatever you want to call that. The book, I believe, will be titled Loyalty to a Fault, Learning to Set Boundaries, and addressing the power of the no, because so many of us don't say no, we say yes. Understanding how we become overachievers and what actually happened in our life that caused us to want to prove our value and our worth. Yeah. And then recognizing the power that is within you when you really set aside what you've been through, and as my girlfriend Rhonda Shortino would say, and use it as a stepping stone for where you're going, as opposed to an obstacle to prevent you from where you want to go. Yeah. So it's great. I have a wonderful writing coach. We meet weekly, as long as I can set aside the time. And it's challenging me to write on a daily basis. Yeah, write 5-10 minutes a day, 30 minutes a day. Set aside some little time where you write something or you find something inspirational. I've started a second book, and I sort of have the core outline for that. The second book is going to be called Play the Game by Your Rules, Powerful Negotiation Skills for Women. Oh, that sounds great.
So, so I have the book kind of started, and at the end I have this random notes section where I just, if I see a quote or I see something or I see an article, I just throw it back there, and I figure eventually when I kind of get stuck, I'll go back and I'll pull things out of there. So, same thing. People told me I should write a book for 25 years, and I never did. And so I finally did it, and I finally wrote my book, Quiet Women Never Change History, Be Strong, Stand Out. Stand Up and Let's Go Kick Some Glass is a subtitle.
I love that title, and I can't wait for you to speak about it at a Leadership in Heels event.
Absolutely.
That is wonderful.
Absolutely. So we're going to take a short commercial break, and we'll come back and we'll keep chatting with Scharrell Jackson, who is just this amazing, bright sunshine of an individual. Thank you.
Imagine what it would feel like to lose everything. Your job, your home, your family, your dignity. This has happened to thousands of the men, women, veterans, and young adults we serve at Working Wardrobes. What do we do to help? We provide career development services, life skills workshops, job skills training. We provide the perfect interview outfit, and we get clients placed in jobs. Call Working Wardrobes, 714-210-2460. Donate, volunteer, invest, hire.
When it comes to pioneers in their respective industries, we all know the Apples, Starbucks, and Trader Joe's of the world. In the realm of recruiting, Decision Toolbox is the industry's best-kept secret, with 90% of their business from referrals and repeat customers. For over 20 years, Decision Toolbox's U.S.-based team of recruiters, sourcers, professional writers, quality personnel, and tech support has perfected a Six Sigma approach to talent management. No matter the size of the project, Decision Toolbox delivers incredible results. A cost per hire less than half of what contingency firms charge, with the winning candidate presented in an average of 14 days, all with a 12-month candidate warranty. With results like that, Decision Toolbox won't be a secret for long. Visit us at www.dtoolbox.com for more information.
All right, let's pick it back up with Patty and the glass kickers in the room here.
Yeah, we have a really great glass kicker with us today. We have Scharrell Jackson. So we're going to keep chatting about her organization, Leadership in Heels, and some of the other things that she does. It's absolutely incredible. So over the break, we were sort of chatting about this idea or this myth that women always don't support women as much as they should or could. And one of my favorite quotes comes from Madeleine Albright that says, there should be a special place in hell for women who don't help other women grow. Right?
There you go, Madeleine.
So let's talk about that a little bit. So there seems to be this, the higher you get up the organization or the less jobs there are. Let's talk about what women can and should be doing to support each other more.
I think it is so important, to your point, as we were discussing over the break, for women to celebrate one another.
Yes.
And, as I said to you, I appreciate this opportunity. The higher you get up in your career based on what people think, the lonelier it is. There is a perception that you don't have a need based on a job title. You know, I was speaking Wednesday over at Cisco, and I was sharing with them when they were talk about the partnership and this, that, and the other. And I am so grateful that Steve sponsored me to become a partner at the firm and entrusted me with that title. But at the same token, it was interesting to see the number of hits I got on my LinkedIn because of a job title. You know, I thought to myself, so does that mean that I wasn't as good as they
yesterday
think I am today because I got a new job title? Like, really? I mean, it was just interesting to me. And I think supporting one another is important for us to do, to ask questions, to see how we can help. But I also will say that I think as women, we need to allow other women to help us. We need to be unafraid to tell the truth, unafraid to reach beyond the aisles and say, hey, can you help me? I have a need. And I think as women, we don't do that enough. We hide and we try to carry it all by ourselves. And, you know, I just think that we do ourselves a disservice. So, you know, I think it's twofold. I think we have a responsibility to support one another, and we should want to do that and be happy for one another. But I also think that we should not deny others the ability and the gift to service us and help us.
Yeah, being willing to ask for help. And I can share a brief bit about my personal story. As I call it my rise and my fall, and that I rose up the corporate ladder fairly quickly. I had a very successful job in a big bank and with Microsoft. And I got into that syndrome where I couldn't say no. So if anybody asked me anything, oh, yeah, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that, I can help. And I wasn't asking for help. So I literally had a complete physical, mental crash. I fell down the mountain so hard, I'm surprised I was able to get back up. And ended up taking a 4-month sabbatical and going to see multiple doctors to figure out what was wrong with me physically, getting some help from a coach, and getting myself back to where I was because I had lost sense of myself and I was afraid to ask for help.
You know, that is so profound because I promise you, if it wasn't for Jesus, I know that I would have been in that same spot. Because there are so many times that I am just literally overwhelmed with the level of responsibility that I have,
right?
Especially at the firm, and based on how I'm also wired to want to contribute so much. And it can become a lot.
Yeah.
And so it is important that you speak up for yourself and you let people know that you need help.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's not just a body to do. Sometimes it's just somebody to sit, to be able to just come and sit with you and let you just lay your head on their shoulder and tell you everything is going to be all right.
Yeah.
And so I have really learned to embrace that as I've gotten older.
More mature.
More mature, older, whatever you want to call it. Girl is older when I'm trying to step up those stairs and my body goes, I'm accepting it.
Yeah. And actually what got me back was I took the time off to get help. And I refound my vision, my personal vision, what I had let go of it at the expense of helping everybody else and not able to say no and doing things. I'd lost sense of myself, my vision, my family, my spirituality. I lost all of that. And so I literally spent a couple of months really getting myself back to who I was. And then I'm now back stronger than ever.
And you know, I'm just so proud of you for even acknowledging that, because so often some of us find ourselves on the brink of being in that place, and yet we hide it. And I think that makes it even more difficult.
Exactly.
Because we all go through difficult times, and it's really not about what it looks like on the outside. It's about what it is.
Yeah.
And so the ability to really keep yourself together for me comes first with the way I start my day every single day. And that is getting on my knees and praying and asking God to help me in my journey just for this day. And when Scharrell jumps in, go on and intervene and bring me back so that I can stay focused on what my true purpose is.
Yeah. Yeah, I changed my whole morning routine where I used to get up and I'd immediately be on email. And I was working probably 70, 80 hours a week, like a lot of people are. I'm trying to balance everything. And so now my morning routine is I get up and I make my tea and I go outside and I do 10 sun salutations as I pray. Then I come in and read something inspirational, and then I might read the funnies in the newspaper, and I walk the dog, and then I might get on email or do something else. But I take care of the inside out first.
It's so critical. And then, the other thing is, as women, we have to have mentors and accountability partners, people that we give permission to tell us the truth about ourselves.
Yeah.
Because, we can get beside ourselves, right? And so it's just so important that we allow people in our space to be able to say, girlfriend, that what you did like right there, you don't have no business doing that. Don't even do that anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
Or, I already made that mistake for you. You can pass on that one.
Yeah.
And then people who will help us along the way in terms of trying to get to where we need to go in our relationship, in our careers, with our children. So we really do need to have a host of people around us that can support us in the different areas of our life.
Yeah, you need to have that support group in so many different areas. And I love the idea of having a small group of people, whether it be men or women, that will tell you the truth.
Absolutely.
And they'll even say something sometime like maybe you're wearing something, and they'll just go, that's not your best look.
Exactly. And the funny thing about it, Patty, is so many people don't want to know the truth. It's like, if I am going around looking crazy, I don't want you to tell her. I need you to tell me.
Yeah, tell me.
I always say this, Scharrell, you over 50 now, baby. It's a little too late for you to wear that dress. You might need to put on something different. Dang, I can't wear that anymore. No.
Put a pair of slacks or leggings under it. Maybe you can get by with it. So you do some amazing work with a lot of different charities. I mean, I do work, and my husband, we do work with the Dana Point 5th Marines. We do Working Wardrobes, or I do Working Wardrobes, Girls Inc., another wonderful group called Global Glow, which stands for Girls Leading Our World, which is a really great group. But you've got some amazing nonprofit charitable organizations. Tell us about a few of those and what you give and what you get back.
You've mentioned some that I also love, Working Wardrobes. I'm a former board member for many years with Girls Inc. of Orange County. Right. Just rolled off of that board in December. And I'm currently on the Human Options Board. And as you mentioned, they service battered women and their family. And then I also sit on the board of Big Brothers Big Sisters of Orange County. And then just do my best to try to service the other organizations within our county that are making a difference in those lives of people who actually have a need. And, I think the give is easy, because it's time. And I believe that we are on this earth for one reason. And as my pastor, Pastor Rick Warren, says, it is to serve others, because ultimately it's not about us. And so I think the give for me is really the same as the get back. It is about making a difference and pleasing others, and then ultimately pleasing God, and just playing a role in trying to just plant a small seed, being able to help those who may not be in the best situation right now,
right,
and helping them to continue to look forward. Because as you mentioned, when you had your momentarily stint where, life wasn't the way it needed to be, we've all been there. We've all had setbacks. And so often we categorize people as underserviced or underprivileged. But at some point in all of our life, we were under. Right? I mean, there are times in our life where we are not on top. Right. And I think that when we are at our best, we have an opportunity to help those who are not, because we will be there. We may not necessarily be in the exact situation that they're in, but we all need a hand sometimes. Yeah. And so that's really what I get out of it, is just being able to give just a little bit that I can to make a difference in the life of others in some small way.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember there was someone was telling me, I was asking her how she got involved in Working Wardrobes, which helps men and women, has a huge program for veterans, both male and females, but also overall. And I said, well, how did you get involved with Working Wardrobes? And she told the story that she went there one time because Jerry Rosen, who runs Working Wardrobes, when she gets her hands on you, you never get away.
Well, I have to tell you, I love Jerry, and I was on her board.
I do too. So
she's an outstanding leader.
She just is a wonderful leader, and she just brings you in, and you just can't say no to Jerry. But she was saying she went there once to help out at one of the events where these people came in that were underprivileged or they'd been homeless, and they were helping them not just buy or not just get a nice outfit or a nice outfit to make them look good on the outside. They gave them workshops on self-esteem, on customer service skills. And she says she remembers this one young woman that came in that was dressed all in black, was very depressed, would barely look up at anybody. And so when my friend tried to help her find something to wear, she says, well, will you wear color? She goes, no, I only wear black. Well, what about jewelry? I don't wear jewelry. By the end of the program, this woman was dressed in a beautiful red dress with outstanding jewelry. And my friend said, just seeing that woman go from a depressed, homeless individual dressed in black and goth and very sad and wouldn't look at people, and she walked that runway like she owned it.
Yeah.
And she was hooked on giving back to an organization, giving time. Don't have to give money, giving time to help somebody improve their life.
That's what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
I think that's what Leadership in Heels is about.
Exactly.
That's what your radio show is about.
Yep.
Our books.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it's about when you're sitting on a board. It is really about just planting that seed, because you never know when it's going to blossom.
Yeah.
And if you have an opportunity to do that in just one life,
yeah.
I mean, that's huge,
That's
right?
huge. That's huge.
And we can do it. I think so often people think you have to make a certain amount of money or have a certain job title, but it's for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
There are opportunities out there that are endless.
Well, and actually, if people don't know this, people that are listening, we're in Orange County, California, and I'm sure this is in other organizations, but Orange County has something called 1OC. And I don't remember what day it is, but at least once a week in the newspaper, they list all the nonprofits that you might want to join. Things from helping children to homeless to veterans to teenagers to senior citizens. Or you can just search on the internet for 1OC and find a charitable organization that you could make a difference in somebody's life.
And how about this? Not that you know this, but you can also reach out to my son, Donovan Jackson, because he works with 1OC, and he will be happy to connect you with the nonprofit of your choice. So how about a segue? Gotcha, Patty. You didn't know that was coming, right?
I didn't know that was coming.
I know it. Yeah, my son Donovan, who is like one of the lights of my life, recently started with 1OC after working under the amazing leadership of Melissa Beck at Big Brothers Big Sisters.
Yep.
And he's now on the journey at 1OC to help connect people and corporations with nonprofits so that everybody has an opportunity to make a difference.
I will have to see him, because starting in May, we're starting a leadership workshop series for people who work in nonprofits that don't have a chance to go to a leadership course, and I'm teaching 2 modules out of that. So I'll be at 1OC, I think, in May and June, so I'll have to find Donovan.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So what's one thing that's not on your bio that's interesting about you that you'd like to divulge?
Well, I'll share this. It's so often I have an opportunity to meet people, and I appreciate just the positive feedback and the accolades that come. But, the one thing that I will say is that it's a journey, as you mentioned earlier, to get there. And there has been a lot of heartache and heartbreak and difficulties in my life. I, too, am a victim of domestic violence, having been raped early in my life and been abused physically by a man. And, I'm divorced from my children's father, and things haven't always gone the way that I've wanted them to go. And so while I am experiencing a lot of joy and benefits and happiness and satisfaction in my life, it hasn't always been easy.
Yeah.
And so one of the things that I would say is that it doesn't matter what it looks like, that you keep pressing your way. And one of the things that my mentor, Russ Williams, told me is that when I was struggling and trying to figure out what I needed to do and not thinking that I was where I needed to be, that he reminded me that it's a journey, and that I'm in the midst of my journey on the way to the ascent. And so one of the things people don't realize is that regardless of how much something is glittering, things come with a price. And so I've had to pay a huge price for a lot of the accomplishments that I've been able to make and the success that I'm currently enjoying, but it certainly wasn't always easy. And on the flip side, the other thing that I guess I could say about myself is that I love music. Like, I'm in love with it. It's the key to my soul.
Do you sing?
Girl, no, but I used to, but my middle son stole that away from me. He came out a baritone, and I lost my voice. But I love music. I'm a lover of music. I listen to it all day, every day, all night, all the time.
Yep.
And so that's something that not everybody knows. Only those who are close to me.
Yeah. It was funny because I always, if I'm working, I need to have music around me. I need to have, and my husband said, how can you work and listen to music at the same time? And I said, it's what gets me inspired. It's what keeps me going. When I was going through that really tough time time. We lived in Seattle at the time, and we lived right next door to a forest. And I would put my headset on and take my little pug, Roxy, and I would walk through the forest with my headset on, and I would listen to I Think I Can Fly. I would listen to This Girl's on Fire. I would listen to What Doesn't Kill You Makes You Stronger. I would listen to any of the songs, and I would sing, bad singer. And I'm sure my neighbors and people in the forest thought there was this crazy woman walking around. And I would be singing at the top of my lungs, like I didn't care. They always say dance like nobody's watching. Well, I sang like nobody was watching.
I do the same thing. I have a gospel track that I listen to every morning when I start my day, and it is just the motivation that really keeps me going. And then I listen to music in my office. Everybody knows you come in my office, there's going to be some music playing in the background. But that's my thing, and I think everybody should have something that keeps them going. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite song, a favorite popular song?
Gosh, not one that I could really say I don't. Yeah. I have so many genres of music that I love. But Frankie Beverly and Mays is my favorite all-time artist.
Who is it?
Frankie Beverly and Mays.
Okay. I'll have to look that one up. Old school.
Yeah, that's right.
So one of the things you talk about in some of your presentations and speeches is this communication gap between men and women. Right? I mean, they've actually done scientific research where they measured men and women's brain patterns in an MRI, and they showed that our brain patterns are different. So what are some of the things and tips you might have for how women could help bridge that communication gap with men?
Well, I think one of the most important things that I learned is newsflash, men are not like us.
Nor do we want them to be.
No, but it's so interesting that when I speak with men, and most of my career I've worked in a predominantly male-dominated environment.
Me too.
And I speak with women. Women have a tendency to impose their way on men. So, we'll say something like, well, he should have known that. Or I'm not telling him. Or why didn't he think of that? We actually expect for men to think like we think. But you don't really hear a man say, well, she should have known that. Well, how should, they figure we think differently. Yeah. And so I think one of the things that I would say to women is to remember that we don't think the same. And the other thing that I've learned is that oftentimes women speak about their emotions as opposed to the issue. And so many times we get deep into our feelings. So you're late and my feelings are hurt that you're late. And now I'm talking about my feelings instead of just saying openly, I really don't appreciate the fact that you were late today. And I'd appreciate it if you'd be more considerate of my time. Anyway, honey, what would you like for dinner tonight? Yeah. We make things such a big deal when we don't really have to. Yeah. And, I also think that we need to try to gain more understanding. As a woman, I believe we need to just take responsibility for that which we control. And I think that when we have a better understanding of who we are and what we bring to the table and what we don't, it can naturally improve the communication between a man and a woman.
Yeah. Exactly.
And we're going to actually have a series, Leadership in Heels, He Say, She Say, addressing the gender communication gap between a man and a woman in July.
In July? Okay. And the next Women in Heels event is March 30th.
Yeah. March 30th is the next Leadership in Heels event. That one is Wise Women, Wise Choices, The Power of the Decision. And our keynote speaker, Amy Smith, the Joy Junkie, she is amazing. So I hope that you'll be there. And
I'll be there.
That a number of the people in our audience will be able to attend as well.
And so they can just go to Leadership in Heels and they can register for any of your events.
They can. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Right. And I can also be reached at Scharrelljackson.com or on my recently launched website, ScharrellJackson.com.
Okay. So what words of advice do you have for your audience? If you were going to give 1, 2, 3 words of advice that would help women really kick some glass, what would you say?
Wow, that's a great question. I guess the words of advice that I would give would be, the first one is to be true to yourself. Stay authentic. Be honest with yourself, and then you can be honest with others. I think that the other thing that I would say to women is that manage our brand. Make sure that our inside matches our out, so that the way that we show up is aligned with the story that we want others to tell about us. And then the last thing that I would say is to give yourself some grace. You know, I think so often as women, we are so hard on ourselves.
Absolutely.
And then we are hard on others. And we tend to forget that we are all uniquely and wonderfully made. And so when people don't meet our expectations or we fall short of the standards that we've set for ourselves, we have to remember that we have an opportunity to try again. And so just give yourself some grace. And lighten up a little bit and have some fun.
Have some fun.
Have some fun.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Know who you are. Be authentic of who you are. And give yourself permission and others permission to maybe not be so perfect.
Absolutely.
Because we are all trying to be that perfect mom, perfect wife, perfect partner, perfect manager, perfect team leader, running your Girl Scout troop. And we just have to sometimes give ourselves a chance to breathe.
Exactly.
Just give yourself a chance to breathe.
And you know what else, Patty? Get some sleep.
Yeah.
I'm still working on that. Exercise.
Yep.
Take care of your person.
Yep.
Eat right.
Yep.
And laugh a whole lot.
Laugh a whole lot.
A whole lot.
Do things that bring you joy and bring you happiness. Whatever that, your son, my son's a little bit older. He's now married, lived in Portland, but he was the joy. He and my daughter are the joys of my life. So have a little bit of fun. Learn to laugh a little bit. I mean, life doesn't need. There was the old Reader's Digest magazines that used to come out. And I think they're still around. I've seen them in the supermarket. And one of them was laughter is the best medicine.
It is.
And to me, you can laugh or you can cry, and one doesn't wreck your mascara.
It's
unless
funny.
You're crying really hard.
Exactly. I tell myself I have about 3 minutes to go through my little down periods.
Yeah.
So if I'm down about something, I allow myself to feel it, because there's nothing wrong with feeling what you feel. But then I shake that thing off and say, all right, now let's go conquer the world.
Get over it, girl.
Exactly. Because that's how women kick glass, right?
Yeah, exactly. And one of the things that I always tell people is, think about when things happen in your life and maybe they don't go so well. Stop and pause for a second. Give yourself that moment of grief or anger for a moment, and then ask yourself what happened, why did it happen, what did I learn from it,
right?
And how do I get a different outcome a different time? And you do that when things don't go well, and you do that when things do go well.
Right.
Because you absolutely want to also use that so you repeat. You talked about being a continuous learner, right?
Right.
You learn by reading, by books, by life and experiences. Life is a journey.
It is.
You don't ever want to get to the destination.
Not until you're ready, if you're lucky enough. But, the other thing I think about is that we need to celebrate our wins.
Yes.
We focus so much on that which we're not. And in this quarter of my life, I'm really trying to focus on what I am and who I am and embrace and develop that.
Yeah.
And so I think we need to learn to celebrate our wins.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect. So how do people get in touch with you? Again, let's talk a second about Leadership in Heels.
So I guess I should spell my name because it is different, but it's Scharrell, Scharrell, Jackson.com. If you want to look at the website or email me at Scharrell@ScharrellJackson.com. And again, the Leadership in Heels is leadership.in.heels. On Instagram, you can reach me on Twitter at Scharrell J, and then you can reach me on Facebook as well. And if you are looking for an outstanding accounting firm to service your business, you can reach us at squarmilner.com.
You said it was the boutique first-class concierge accounting services, which it actually truly is.
Well, it's interesting because it's a mid to large-size firm. We compete with the Big Four. We have the level of expertise and partner group and service providers that are outstanding throughout the nation, but you get that boutique feel and that personal service.
Yeah. And one more quick announcement on another event that both Scharrell and I are going to be facilitators at is on March 29th. UCI and Executive Next Practices are having Women Building a Sustainable Competitive Advantage from Professional Positions to the Boardroom, Leveraging Your Talent at All Stages in Your Career. And that's going to be March 29th. It will be at UCI, Paul Mirage School of Business. You can go to www.enp.com and find out about the event. It will be from 5 to 7:30 on Wednesday, March 29th. It'll be a great event. We've got amazing speakers, and Scharrell and I are actually going to be facilitating part of the discussion and session on that day.
And thank you so much. I'm looking forward to doing that with you. And if you don't mind, I also want to mention the Women of Influence event that's coming up on March 17th from 7:30 in the morning to 11:30 a.m. And that's going to be an outstanding event where I'm actually the keynote speaker. So if you have an opportunity to join us on March the 17th, March the 29th, or March the 30th at the next Leadership in Heels event, we'd love to meet you in person, right?
Absolutely. Love to meet you in person. Outstanding. Well, you've been an amazing guest today, and it's always great to see you because you're such a joy. She's always has this beautiful smile and a twinkle in her eyes. She's just an amazing person, an amazing leader, an amazing woman. I'll put that in that perspective.
Thank you, Patty.
So thanks, everybody, for listening today. This is Women Kicking Glass. My name is Patty Grimm. I'm the host of the show. Each Friday at 10 a.m. we have our show, so please get in contact me if you'd like to be a speaker on the show. If you know of a great speaker, if there's a topic you'd like to hear about, we're constantly building on show after show. It is every week at 10 a.m. We also post it on my Women Kicking Glass Facebook page. How you can get in contact with me, you can go to my Women Kicking Glass Facebook page, or you can email me at pattygrimm@live.com, and that's PATTIEGRIMM@live.com. And I thank everybody for listening, and thanks Scharrell for being here, and let's go kick some glass.
Thank you, Patty. It's
been
a pleasure.
It's been a great pleasure.
Thanks for listening to Women Kicking Glass, the only radio show on OC Talk Radio dedicated to empowering women to be the best they can be. Listen each week or download the podcast at patty.grimm.podbean.com. To reach out to Patty to schedule a speech webinar or to learn more about her leadership and team training, contact Patty at pattygrimm@live.com. For more information about her company and her books, have a kicking day.